Today, we're jumping into a really fascinating new theory that might just be the key to unlocking one of the biggest medical mysteries out there right now: long COVID. And it's all built around a powerful idea with a kinda weird name: systemic neuropathy. So, this is the big question, right? It's the one millions of people are asking. The infection itself is long gone. The virus has been cleared. But for so many, the symptoms, they just stick around. We're talking about that crushing fatigue, the brain fog, all these things that can last for months or even years. What is going on? Now, you've probably heard the main theories, these ideas about hidden viral reservoirs or just chronic runaway inflammation. And look, those are definitely part of the picture. But this new model says they don't really explain the deep systemic breakdown that patients are feeling. It suggests the real problem isn't just the leftover smoke from the fire, it's that the fire is actually burning down the cell's internal machinery. So to really get a grip on this new theory, we first have to wrap our heads around the central puzzle it's trying to solve. Let's call it the long COVID enigma. This quote from the source material just nails it. It's telling us to look past the inflammation, that's the smoke, and focus on the fire itself, which is this fundamental structural breakdown of our cell's most important security systems. And that brings us right to the heart of it: systemic neuroresolopathy. So what is that? Well, the idea here is that long COVID isn't just an illness that's hanging on. It's a progressive condition where the very system that guards our DNA is being systematically taken offline, which in turn causes our bodies to age at a scarily accelerated rate. Okay, so how on earth does this even happen? Well, this next section gets into the mechanism, and the best way to think about it is as a broken security system inside every affected cell. To really understand this, let's use a little metaphor. Just picture the nucleus inside each of your cells. It's not just a blob. It's like a massive, priceless library that holds the complete blueprint for you, your entire genome. And of course, any library this important needs a top-notch security system, right? Well, in our cells, that system is a team of proteins called the NuRD complex. Its job is absolutely critical. It guards the DNA from any damage, and if a break happens, it's the one that calls in and manages the entire repair crew. So here's where the heist happens. This is how the virus does it. There's a viral enzyme called NSP5, and it acts like a saboteur. It finds one of the most important security guards on the NuRDL team, a protein called HDAC2, and it basically snips its ID badge. That badge is its pass to get into the nucleus. Without it, HDAC2 is locked out, trapped in the cytoplasm. The paper calls this the NuRDL sink, because it literally drains the library of its security. And let me be really clear, this isn't just some small problem. With this one single action, the virus creates a massive, absolutely catastrophic vulnerability. The entire genomic library is now left wide open and completely unguarded. And that leads us right into what happens next. You have an undefended cell. It is now officially a cell under siege. Inside that now unguarded library, total chaos breaks out. We have these ancient dormant pieces of viral DNA in our own genome. They're called retrotransposons, and they suddenly wake up. They start acting like vandals, running around and constantly breaking our DNA strands. That's the first hit. But here's the second hit, the real killer, the repairman, the NuRD complex. He's been locked out. He can't get in to fix anything, so the damage just keeps piling up. It's a devastating 1-2 punch. Okay, so faced with this non-stop, unfixable damage, the cell is teetering on the edge of total collapse. So the body does the only thing it can. It pulls the emergency brake. It goes for a desperate last-ditch measure. And that emergency measure is something called fibrosis. You can think of it like the body just pouring biological concrete over all the damaged areas to stop a complete meltdown. Now, this contains the crisis, yeah? But the result is hardened, stiff, dysfunctional tissue, which is a classic sign of many chronic diseases and a key feature we see in long COVID. But the problem doesn't just stay put in those single cells. As we'll see here, this whole mess actually hijacks the body's own communication networks to spread the damage around. So these compromised cells have two main ways of spreading the dysfunction. First is what's called telecom hijacking. They use these tiny little connections, like biological telephone lines, to blast electrical noise and static to all their healthy neighbors. It's like creating a massive short circuit across the whole network. The second method is delivery hijacking. This uses a different set of connections, like secret tunnels, to literally smuggle toxic junk and viral parts into the next cell over, creating a terrible domino effect. And this is where it all clicks into place. The theory proposes that this telecom hijacking, this electrical storm of noise, short-circuiting our neurons, is the actual physical reason for that debilitating symptom so many people experience, brain fog. It's not just a feeling, it's a biophysical event. Okay, so that's the problem, and it sounds pretty grim, but the beauty of this model is that it doesn't just stop there. It lays out a potential solution, a coordinated three-phase counterattack. The whole strategy is set up like a military siege. Phase 1 is the blockade. You have to stop the virus from doing any more damage and cut off its supply lines. Phase 2 is the resolution. Now you go in and dismantle those hijacked communication networks and start breaking up all that fibrotic concrete. And then finally, phase 3 is the purge and recharge. You clean out all the accumulated garbage and reboot the cell's power plants. So for phase 1, the blockade, the paper suggests a couple of specific agents. Ivermectin is proposed to work like a bodyguard, shielding the NuRD complex from that viral saboteur, NSP5. And then you have benzimidazoles, which are proposed to act like roadblocks, stopping the construction of those delivery highways the cells use to smuggle toxic cargo. In phase 2, the resolution, the focus shifts to an herbal agent called danshen. And this thing is proposed to be a real multi-tool player. One of its components is thought to literally go in and snip the telecom cables, stopping that electrical noise that causes brain fog. At the same time, another component gets to work dissolving that fibrotic concrete we talked about. And then we have the final phase, purge and recharge. This is all about the big cleanup. An agent called nicosamide is suggested to basically turn on the cell's incinerators to burn up all the accumulated junk. And then there's this incredible emerging technology, mitochondrial transfer, which could be used to literally jumpstart exhausted cells by giving them a fresh, healthy power source. And this really brings us to the powerful conclusion of this whole model. The argument is that by understanding this deep structural failure, we now have what the paper calls a rational and actionable path to not just manage the symptoms, but to actually reverse what is fundamentally a process of accelerated aging. And that just leaves us with this huge, fascinating final thought. If this model is right, if we can actually target and reverse a process of accelerated cellular aging, what could that mean? Could this approach be the key not just for long COVID, but for a whole host of other chronic, age-related diseases? It's a question that could literally change everything.